Spiritualism has been around since the Victorian era, born out of a desire to speak with loved ones who have passed away. But how can you tell if the medium that is passing on messages is telling the truth, or if they are even receiving information from the dead at all? Some are obviously cold readers, but what if one of them told you something that they couldn't possibly know about you? She was gone. After a short struggle with depression, it was all over, and it was like the world around us had collapsed. Afterwards, and even now, I struggle to talk to people about how dark it can feel when someone you love has left this earth. I was always open-minded, but I don't believe in heaven or hell, or an all-powerful God for that matter. But I do think that there's something more for us out there. Something we can't see and will never truly understand. But ghosts? I was skeptical. It was coming up to my 21st birthday, and had been maybe a year since my friend had taken her own life. My mum and her friend would regularly go to the Spiritualist Church nearby, not because they were believers, but because it was interesting. It was nice to learn about new people. Afterwards, they would pop into the local, have a bite to eat, a drink, and a general chit-chat and a catch-up. It was sociable. She'd asked me a few times to go, but I never wanted to. What was the point? There are three possibilities. A. You get told nothing. B. Some hack makes some stuff up that vaguely resembles someone you may or may not know. Or C. Someone you love comes back from the dead into a room full of strangers with a mystic message. Yeah, right. There'd been a few nights when I was alone in my room that I felt something there. Something lurking in the shadows. My heart would race, but when I put the light on, nothing. There were times where I was terrified. One night, I woke up in a cold sweat, and I swear to this day someone was sitting on my bed next to me. It didn't feel malevolent, but it was scary regardless. I had seen somewhere, probably in a movie, if you simply ask them to leave, they will. So on that night, as I lay in the dark, I spoke out loud and asked whatever it was to leave, and it did. The bed became lighter and the cold lifted. Rationally, you will explain it away. It was all in my head. By asking it to leave, my subconscious made the fear subside. I totally agree with you. However, a couple of days later I felt the same cold shadow in the room with me. I had had enough and decided at this point to go to the church with my mum. If nothing else, it would reassume my belief that they were all hacks and charlatans. That it was all in my head. I told the shadow a secret. Not a single soul at this point knew this secret. I told it that if they wanted to speak to me, where I would be, and when and how to prove it was them. So several days later, after no further instances of the visitor, I went out for the night with my mum and her friend. We were sitting in the middle row at the church, and I was only half listening to some woman fishing for information. Someone called John was looking to speak to someone who had lost a grandparent, or maybe an aunt or an uncle. Did the number 5 mean anything to anyone? Did someone once own a blue car they would go on trips in? As I expected. What a crock. Towards the end of the evening, a young man who was not part of the main group stood up and said he had a message. He was partially deaf, which I found fascinating at the time. This lad looked straight at me and said he had a message for me. No fishing for clues on who I was or why I was there. He knew he wanted to speak to me. He told me that although he had a message for me from my friend, she said that I would not even entertain listening until he could prove it was from her. He said she had told him I was going to get a tattoo, a butterfly on my back, and she hopes that I choose someone careful. I was gobsmacked. That was the message I had given my cold visitor. Nowadays I'm covered in tattoos, but at that time I wasn't, and I didn't have anything that would clue him up that this was my hidden message. He had more though. He said she was also telling me that she wants a leopard print thong. He was laughing at how random the messages seemed, but I understood this too. It was a bit of an in-joke, only very few people would know about, and none of them beside myself were sitting in that room. Following that, he went on to tell me how sorry she was, and that she was looking out for us all. I know there are some very clever people readers out there, but not in a little church with free readings, surely. And even if there were, how would a man, a complete stranger to me, get so much precise information? It's not impossible, I know, but definitely makes me question myself. I don't know how he could have been so accurate. I later questioned the people I was with. Perhaps I put too much power in him. Did I add 1 and 1 and get 100? But they did confirm he knew so much more than he should have. After that night, the cold visitor was gone. A part of me felt that she hung around for nearly a year to say sorry, and that if I had just gone sooner, maybe she wouldn't have had to. But then, I wasn't ready to listen before, so it probably wouldn't have changed anything. Whatever you believe, I can't explain my cold visitor or my church experience. So for now then, in my mind at least, the case remains open. Hi everyone, it's your Uncle Creepy here. I just wanted to add a little bit of a footnote to tonight's episode. I want to talk about the picture that's in the episode. It's actually a picture of my wife in it, and it's a painting that's based on a piece of work by Charles Allen Gilbert called All is Vanity. And it's something that me and my wife were both very fond of. And it was done by somebody called Andy Treadwell. Andy is a fantastic artist. He does all sorts of projects. He does murals on buildings, and in my part of the world, he's known as the People's Artist. He's also a musician, and he's just an all-round good guy, so I thought I would mention him there tonight. Also, I want to say, please keep on subscribing to the show. Please keep on liking, please share with your friends, and please, please, please keep those stories coming in. This is Creepy Battenberg saying good night, sleep tight.